of Ask Leah. Tonight, I wanted to share with you a few tips that I've been talking about a lot with some of the different organisations and teams I've been working with over the last few weeks. And they're tips to help you with working from home. Now, I know there's lots of information out there, but I wanted to share with you some tips that have really worked for me over the years. I've been running my own business and working from home for 9 years now. So it's something I do know pretty well. In that time, I've worked around 3 very little kids, at sometimes caring for my husband as well, running a business, doing that crazy juggle, managing to write a book. And it's certainly not because I'm Superwoman. Now, my skills at working from home are certainly being put to the test like never before at the moment, because as well as working full-time from home, I am supporting the remote learning of 3 little kids from home at the moment, 3 primary school age kids. And to say that it's challenging is an understatement. And I know I've spoken about this a bit, but I also know that there are so many working parents in the same position at the moment, really struggling with the situation we've found ourselves in. And although it's incredibly challenging for me, I do have that benefit of at least being used to working from home. So I wanted to share some tips that really do help me, particularly working around other distractions. Now, some people that I've spoken to are struggling with not enough work from home, looking for things to do. And I suppose this conversation tonight is not for those people. This tonight is more for the people who are finding themselves overwhelmed with a lot going on. They're working crazy long hours. They're fitting work in around children and other distractions, and they're just trying to make work work. Now, I'm going to share some tips tonight, but the first thing I want to say is, folks, and this applies to me too, this advice that I'm giving you tonight is as much advice for myself. And the first thing I want to say is we need to cut ourselves some slack. Now, those of you who are working for companies and organisations, hopefully you're working for great organisations. There are some leaders and companies out there doing a brilliant job recognising how tough it is at the moment. I've got to say, disappointingly, there are companies and employers that aren't doing so well and that are expecting that people just turn up exactly the same at home as they would in an office, and it's unrealistic. It's not only unrealistic, it's actually really silly because it's damaging your relationship with your employees. And I've got to say, when we get through the bulk of this and kind of go back to some sort of new normal, because it won't be the same, I think there's a lot of organisations that are going to lose good people, because you can't have those expectations on people in this sort of situation. Yes, you can expect people to still do their job and to perform, but, it's a different world, a different way of working when you're working from home around distractions. So, few tips to share with you tonight that I hope will help. Now, it is really key for me to point out that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to working from home. So these tips that I share for you are things that I use myself, and I encourage you to try them, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. And it's certainly not me sharing all of my tips tonight, just a few to throw out there. The first one is to understand how our bodies work and the need for very regular breaks. Our bodies work on what's called an ultradian rhythm. Our peak performance is 90 minutes to 120, so 2 hours max. After that, if we do not take a break, we start dipping in our productivity, and sometimes dipping really significantly. Now, I have been guilty of this too at times, where you're sitting at your desk, maybe late at night because you've worked with the kids all day and you're trying to plow through some of those tasks to get them done, and you think, no, I've just got to stay here a bit longer and keep going. And have you ever had one of those nights where you've sat at the computer for another couple of hours and your head's not in the game and you're not getting work done? You are so better off either packing it in for the night or taking a break. Instead of seeing breaks as some sort of luxury, okay, I'm at home so I can go for a walk or I can have a coffee. Instead of seeing that as indulgent and as a luxury, you need to start seeing that as absolutely essential. Every 90 minutes, 2 hours tops, you need to be taking a break, whether you think you need it or not. In fact, if you don't think you need it, it's probably more important to take it. And I encourage you to make a bit of a list of the things that recharge you at the moment, the things that fill your cup, that are your mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, your oxygen mask, whether it's patting the dog, having a cuppa, going outside on the days that it is sunny and sitting in the sun. Make a list of those things, actually write them out, type them out, and put them beside your desk so that when you take a break, you actually do one of those things rather than just mindlessly scrolling through your phone. I also encourage you to find your rhythm when you're at home. Now, I know some of you will be watching this going, bloody hell, Leah, what rhythm? It's all over the shop. What I'm talking about here is thinking about when you work best at home from an energy level, but also from a practicality level, okay, around children and the like. And be aware that how you work well from home may be very different from how you work well in the office. So I know for me at the moment, I'm getting up early and I'm trying to smash out a couple of hours before the kids get up for the day. And in that couple of hours, I am doing the focused work that takes the thinking energy, the cognitive function. And in the late afternoon, when I hopefully get another few hours of work before I crack into it again at night, late afternoon is when I do email. It's when I seem to be a bit fried. I'm not thinking that well. So I respond to as many emails as I can late afternoon. Again, you might be completely different, but I want you to notice when you work best and try to tailor your tasks to suit that. Try working with your inbox closed, folks. A lot of people are talking to me at the moment about the huge influx of email because you're not in your office. You are working from home, so you're not having those smaller interactions. So I know this isn't practical for some people, and I know it's certainly not practical for the whole day. However, I want you to try this. Come into work whenever you start in the morning, and it may be that you do the first hour, even the first half hour, with your inbox closed. Now, I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the importance of having a top 3 and doing that as your last task of the day before you go to bed for the night. What are your top 3 things to focus on the next day? What I encourage you to do is to start work, plow through at least one of those top 3 without your inbox open. You can spend a whole day in your inbox and do nothing else but reply to emails, okay? And they're the days where you get to the end of the day and you say, I was so busy today, but what the hell did I actually do? And if the morning doesn't work for you, maybe it's after lunch. Maybe you take your half-hour lunch break or whatever it is for you, and then when you come back, you do an hour's work with your inbox closed or at the end of the day. But I do want you to try it because email can be such a trap. And research has actually shown that for every time you go out of what you're working on and into email, you lose at least 20 minutes of time. Not just the time you spend replying to the email, but the time you spend getting your head back in the game. The last tip that I want to share with you tonight is about working in sprints. Okay, working in sprints is something that I certainly do really frequently, particularly at the moment because I am working around the kids. I'm not getting the chunks of time that I normally would when they're in school. So I'm having to get really good at working in sprints, in short, sharp bursts of time. How can we do that? I have spoken about it before, but there's this great method and you can Google it. It's called the Pomodoro method. And it's some of the most successful people I know, some of the most productive people I know use this method, and they can achieve more in a couple of hours work than other people do in a whole day. You know, again and again, I'm speaking to leaders at the moment about the importance of focusing on outcomes and output over hours. Working from home should not be about sitting in front of your computer for 8 hours. Sure, you've got to be available for meetings and things like that, but it should more be about if you can get your work done in a short period of time, well done you, okay? So the Pomodoro technique, you set a timer. Yep, you literally set a timer, you know, do it on your phone, speak to Siri, 25 minutes. That's all. That's not long, is it? 25 minutes, you set a timer. You pick the task that you want to focus on. You don't open your email unless the task is emails. And for that 25 minutes, you go hard on that area of focus. You know, the kids might be doing Prodigy on their iPads. Maybe it is when you get them to do Joe Wicks PE on YouTube. You know, it's a short, sharp bite. And in that 25 minutes, you go hard. And at the end of 25 minutes, you have to take a 5-minute break, whether you want to or not. So, you know, if you don't have kids, same deal, 25 minutes. At that mark, you take 5 minutes break. So it might be to have a cuppa. You might go outside and stand in the sun. More likely at the moment in Gippsland, you go and stand in front of the fire, okay? After 5 minutes break, you go back to your desk, another 25-minute timer, you go hard again. At the end of that, you take 5 minutes break. You do 4 of these 25-minute sprints, and then you take a longer break, maybe 15 minutes, maybe even half an hour. So all up, those 4 Pomodoro sprints, including the 5-minute breaks, has taken up 2 hours of your time. My challenge to you tonight is to try this in the next couple of days. And I'd love to hear back from you how much you get done in that 2-hour period. Now, if 25 minutes doesn't work for you, maybe you do have more time on your hands at home and you think, no, I don't want to do 25 minutes. That's not enough. I'm going to do longer. The key thing still is to schedule regular breaks. They make you more productive, okay? Now, I have a whole swag of other tips I can share, but I'm going to leave it there tonight. Again, for those of you juggling school and work at the same time, all from home, I see you, I respect you, I feel for you. For those of you who don't have kids, who are dealing with loneliness at home at the moment, who are really struggling with that social isolation, I see you too. It is different for all of us during this crazy time, but we are all being impacted in some way. So if you have a question about how you can self-manage during this time, how you can work from home, how you can have a difficult conversation or lead with warmth, please reach out to me, ask the question, and I'll do my best to answer it for you next week. Cheers, everyone. Have a lovely night. Stay safe, stay sane, and I'll see you next week. Bye.